Hello world, I'm Ralph Valiente with my groupmates Princess Baculio and Libem Alacre. I'm here to show you our video tutorial for Activity 3 processes. The purpose of this video tutorial is to explore a client-server system, particularly sockets. So first, what is a socket? What is a socket? A socket is one endpoint of a two-way communication link between two programs running on a network. A socket is bound to port number so that the TCP layer can identify the application that the data is destined to be sent to. So, client-server system works like this. Here is the server and here is the client. Client. On the client side, the client knows the host name of the machine on which the server is running and the port number on which the server is listening. To make a connection request, the client tries to rendezvous with the server on the server's machine and port. The client also needs to identify itself to the server, so it binds to a local port number that it will use during the connection. This is usually assigned by the system. On the server, if everything goes well, the server accepts the connection. Upon acceptance, the server gets a new socket bound to the same local port and also has its remote endpoint set to address and port of the client. It needs a new socket that it can continue to listen to the original socket for a connection request while tending the needs of the connected client. On the client side, if the connection is accepted, a socket is successfully created and the client can use the socket to communicate with the server. The client and server can now communicate by writing to or reading from their sockets. Now, we are going to use this program as a reference and execute a client-server system. An echo server echoes back whatever it receives from a client. For example, if a client sends a server the string hello there, the server will respond and with hello there. Write an echo server using the Java networking API described in section 3.6.2. The server will wait for a client connection using the accept method. When a client connection is received, the server will loop, performing the following steps. Read data from a socket into a buffer. Write the contents of the buffer back to the client. Here are the codes for our client and server. Client, server. In order for our program to work, we should run first the server and followed by the client. So let's talk first about the server. The server program begins by creating a new server socket object to listen on a specific port. When running this server, choose a port that is not already dedicated to some other service. The server program creates the server socket object in a try with resources state. Server socket provides a system-independent implementation of the server side of a client-server socket connection. The constructor for server socket throws an exception if it can't listen on the specified port. For example, the port is already being used. Let me show you. So, this is what happens when the port is already in use. As you can see, address already in use. So what we need to do is to change this port number and save it. Same with the client. So let's try it again. There's no error. We can now run for the client. If there's no error, so if the server successfully binds to its port, then the server socket object is successfully created and the server continues to the next step, accepting connection from a client. Here, accept that. Then now we can initiate conversation from the client. In this block, the while loop will read input from the client, and if it is not equal to null, then it will echo back to the input to the client. Now let's talk about the client. The client class that connects to an echo server. The echo server receives data from its client and echoes it back. The server implements an echo server. Let's talk about our client code. The client creates a socket, thereby getting a connection to the echo server. It reads input from the user on a standard input stream and then forwards that text to the echo server by writing the text to the socket. The server echoes the input back through the socket to the client. The client program reads and displays the data back to the server. Like that. The input was hello world and the server echoes it back hello world. So let's talk about the code. So here's the first statement in the try with resources state. Creates a new socket object and name it SS. The socket constructor used here requires the name of the computer and the port number to which you want to connect. Example program uses the first command line argument as the name of the computer, the host name, and the second command line argument as the port number. Here, this is the host name and this is the port number. And remember that the port number must be the same in the server. Here, port number 3233. Same as here. The second statement in the try with resources statement gets the socket output stream and opens a print writer on it named out. The third statement gets the socket's input stream and opens a buffered reader on it named array. The example uses readers and writers so that it can write Unicode characters over the socket. Created in the fourth statement in the try with resources statement is the standard input stream with the buffered reader object named ISR. The last statement in the while loop here in this block reads a line information from the buffered reader connected to the socket, and the read line method waits until the server echoes back the information back to client. When readLine returns, client brings the information to the standard output. Now let's execute the program again. So first we must change the port number to an unused port number. Save it. Same with the client, it must be the same port number for them to communicate successfully. Run the server. If it's successful, it is ready now for conversation with the client. Let's run the client. And let's input something. When we enter our input, it will be echoed back by the server. Yes, my dudes. And that's it, guys. This is our video tutorial about client server system. Thank you for watching.